Hey, welcome to your Libra horoscopes for the week of Thanksgiving. If you are in the US, the week of the 19th through the 25th. And we still have Venus in Libra. At the very beginning, no, I'm sorry, lying totally. Actually, on Thanksgiving Day, on Thursday, we do have Venus in opposition with the moon, and it's really the only challenge that we're going to have all week with Venus, which is good, actually. What's not so great is any kind of opposition between Venus and the moon is highly, highly, highly emotional. And this is really not a good thing because Libra's focus and Venus's focus is on finances. And finances, well, they are emotional. They should not be handled in an emotional way because mistakes have a tendency to be made. And when I say emotional way, what I'm really picking up from this here, because the moon's focus is on the past, that really what we're looking at here is the possibility of old financial fears coming up, something that looks like a challenge that you've dealt with in the past. Emotionally reacting to that is definitely not a good idea at all, specifically because we tend to overreact and make decisions that are not necessarily the best decision for the long run, if that makes sense. Now, if this does have to do with the holidays are traditionally very expensive. I mean, you're dealing with a huge dinner feeding who knows how many people. That's a lot of money. And anybody that has put together a dinner like that knows that that's a lot of money. And it's only getting worse because groceries are not getting cheaper, regardless of where you are in the world. They're getting more expensive. So, in many ways, I feel like in some cases, what's revolving around this has to do with what I call panics. One thing that I have noticed, knowing a couple of different Libras here in the last few weeks, especially, is dealing with financial situations in an emotional and or panicky way. For example, things are not changing, things are not getting better, or surprise, here's a bill that came in that you didn't realize was going to come in, surprise, you still have to pay taxes, what have you. These things have a tendency to come up. And I think the problem that Libras face specifically is whether or not they approach that from a logical standpoint or from an emotional standpoint. Most of the time, Libras tend to lead with their hearts and not necessarily their minds, which is not always a bad thing, but in this case, not so much. You have a tendency to repeat mistakes. You have a tendency to make the same mistakes that you've made before. That is not going to solve your problem. So once you experience the panic, it's time to let yourself just work through the panic, step out of that panic, and look at that situation in a black and white way for what it is, looking only for solutions and not necessarily all of the different problems that may create, if that makes sense. Outside of that day, we still have Venus in a sextile with Mercury. Mercury is focused on career success. If you're looking to make some money, that's definitely the direction that we're going to be looking in, right? I mean, that's usually the first place that we look in because it's most of us have jobs where the money comes from. So really, in terms of, I also feel like this little panic that comes up might actually provide an opportunity for you to have a little bit more oomph to go and pursue that race, to pursue that new position that you're looking for, or to pursue something that you have been thinking of pursuing for a long time and finally have just said, you know what, I'm not going to overthink it anymore. I am just going to go in that direction and see what happens. So there's a lot of good energy going towards making those career advancements. The downside is always the heart, and I think that that's the downside for most Libras is, you know, running into those situations where you're trying to go after what you want, and other people who have ulterior motives or various different agendas kind of convince you to go in a different direction instead because it's best for them. This is what you have to focus on: what is best for you, your financial situation, your plans, your family, your household, your life, period. Everybody else's needs have to go on the back burner until your needs are met. And this is hard for you guys because Libras do have a tendency to put everybody else's needs first and theirs last. This is not one of those situations where it's going to work out in your benefit if you do that. And if you're in a situation like many Libras that I currently know right now, consistently living the same situation over and over again, making the same decision is only going to keep that process going as well. And if it hasn't worked yet, chances are it's not going to work from here on out. So that's what I have for you guys this week. If you love your horoscopes, do consider sending a tip or donation to my coffee link in the description of the video here. I would really, really appreciate that. I always appreciate getting coffees. I'm Melissa Bruce, Heavy Metal Psychic. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys next week. In the meantime, you guys, make good choices, kick some butt. You guys are brilliant. You deserve to go all the way. Don't let anything hold you back on that. I will see you guys next week. Have a great one.